Good morning, everybody. I think we've got a few people here. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Anna. I work at Solar for Schools and I'm joined today by Wendy, who will be leading the webinar. Firstly, thank you everyone for joining so early. For those who aren't able to join, or if you have colleagues who you think would like to have been here but weren't able to join, then we do record this session. So we expect more people to be watching it after this morning. We're going to try and keep it really brief. This is part of our Rise and Shine series. So generally the first Tuesday of the month, and we try and keep it to about 15 minutes. We probably 15-20 minutes. We probably will run over a little bit this morning, but because we're going to be going through the action plan, as I will hand over to Wendy shortly. So just very briefly, the government has basically suggested, as I'm sure you all know, has recommended that all schools have a climate action plan by the end of this year. And we're here to help you and to try and make that process as easy as possible. We want to try and put the action into that and try and find actionable steps for you to take and make it as straightforward and as kind of complementary to your existing curriculum activity as possible. So I'm not going to whittle on any further, but I will hand over to Wendy, who's our head of education, and I'm sure there'll be an opportunity for some questions. So I'm going to mute myself. Over to you, Wendy.
Thank you, Anna, and welcome everybody for getting to the meeting. And I know it will be a very, very busy school day. Okay, so I'm going to crack on quite quickly and talk about the climate action plans that are available and what we can do to support you and who else can support you as well, because it's not just about what Solar for Schools do, but it's about everybody in this area. Okay, so most of you will know that the Sustainability and Climate Strategy for Education would like to have a nominated lead in the schools with a climate action plan by 2025. And those who've read the curriculum review will see that sustainability and climate change has been put into the review. A lot of mention with citizenship, but with the onus still very much on the schools. So these are the 4 areas which they would like us to look at. Now, what I'd like you to consider when you're looking at this is start thinking about your own school. Rather than thinking of this as something to do on top of what you already do, which is plenty, think about how these things can help your key targets for the year, your development plan, any issues you've got in school, be it whole school, be it departmental, be it year group, whatever there is in school, or even think about your own community. Try and place this very firmly with your school rather than this being a tick box exercise. So for most of the schools that are on today, decarbonisation, one of the reasons you're probably on is either you've got solar panels or you're thinking about solar panels, and you've already done a massive jump in decarbonisation. We won't spend much time on that because many of our other webinars will talk about that and how we can help the estates run much more efficiently and use it within lessons. Adaptation and resilience. This is all about that person, the whole child, which many people spend a lot of their teaching career being very much at the heart, especially if you're a hands, heart, head teacher. You put the children at the centre of this. This is about resilience, about getting up when things go wrong. This is about adapting to change. Change is not just from the climate. This is change from life as well. We can apply this to any aspect. And of course, biodiversity, anything we can do to help the environment, reduce pollution, all those very basic things. For all of us, we would all prefer to live in an area which is nicer, which has more greenery. It's good for the health, it's good for the mind, etc. And then the final bit is the climate education green careers bit. Now, one of the things we do have to remember is we're teaching for jobs that don't actually exist yet. And probably more important at this moment in time for the children and our families is the green skills industry is one area that is developing, and there are gaps in there. We know that from what we do with Solar for Schools. So all these are weaved into our education platform. So we've got all bits to help you with this. All right, so just a reminder of why we're doing this. So thinking about yourselves now and your school. So I like to think this as improving our health. Okay, air quality around school, stopping cars idling outside, encouraging walking to school, as well as all the other benefits that brings. We are embedding children's education not for today but for tomorrow as well, looking at the long term. As a secondary school teacher, I very much appreciate the groundwork the primary schools do, and I'm very conscious about what happens in tertiary education afterwards as well. And all the time, if we can embed our teaching in equity and the community, I think we're all on a good path. Now, I know from visiting lots of our schools, some schools have amazing green spaces. Some schools have very, very small green spaces that they have made amazing. And some schools are at the start of this journey and they're looking to transform things. And in front of them is very much a blank canvas, and it's a very difficult task trying to get some funding and resources to do this. So I do understand this. Teaching at a school that has been mainly tarmac and concrete with a field at the back, which we don't benefit from, I do know some of the issues that this actually causes. When we talk about resilience, I know your schools, again, you've got massive different issues, and climate change is probably not one of the big ones. Whether a child is being fed or has got a safe home at night is far, far more important at this moment in time, but everything builds together. Resource and capacity. We're trying to help you improve your capacity by giving some resources and pointing you in the right direction of other people as well. We are not just the only ones. So you may not have heard of the Climate Ambassador Scheme. This is one of the government's 3 big things they've rolled out this year, along with the nature parks, and I do recommend getting in touch with them. And on a slightly separate vision is the Let's Go Zero, and they have ambassadors around the country. Many of you I know have already used them, and if not, we can put you in touch with your local Let's Go Zero ambassador who can come into school or do this and take time with your climate action plan over a longer period. Now, this morning, hopefully I've got Nigel actually on the call this morning, and there he is. And Nigel, I think in the background, is that Lynn and the business manager? Good morning, both.
Yep. Morning.
Morning. And I've had the privilege of visiting Nigel's school. I'll let him give you a little bit of an introduction in a second. And what we're going to do this morning is we're going to try and do a little bit of a climate action plan this morning, and just start off with some ideas and how we would approach this. So Nigel, could you just give us a quick introduction about your school, where you are,
Yep.
and Lynn, if that's okay. Thank you.
So I'm currently head teacher of 2 schools, Bellfield Infant School and Bellfield Junior School, who are completely linked on one site. We are in Northfield in Birmingham, which is a high deprivation area. We're in the top 8%. And we have quite a considerable number of issues with financing and different things. But over the years, luckily with the team that we've got and the site team we've got, we've done quite a lot of work on trying to improve the area, what we've got. And we are one of those typical inner city schools where we've got tarmac playgrounds and very little grass. But we've done quite a lot. We've got quite a lot of trees in the area. So we do get, I forgot to mention this to Wendy last time, we do get trees from, what's it called? Where do we get the trees from? Woodland Trust. Yeah, it's a Woodland Trust, and we plant them with the children. There is a field down the road that we do have access to. So we've done work down there as well. We've got a corner of the playground that we do use as a forest school. So, there are ways of doing things in that way. We've got sensor lights around the school, which we did through the Salex. And obviously we've now got solar panels, which we got for solars for schools, which didn't cost us anything. So there are ways of doing it for very little money.
We got free,
and we've got some free air conditioning as well. So
yeah, see, yeah. So one of I think the best things is collaboration and listening to what other people do in the journey. This is about taking ideas and using them. And certainly many of the schools we've been in, everyone's happy to share some of the things they've done. And literally what the idea is to take the best ideas and put them into your own school. So I'm just going to show you these cards here. We've developed these, or I've developed them over the years from doing the Sustainability Learning Conference and speaking at length over the last 18 years with various different head teachers and business leads from primary and secondary schools, and how we can actually get these ideas to the rest of the school. So sometimes you might be the only person talking about sustainability. You may be lucky and have a head who's leading and everybody's following. You may have a business manager who's really on board. or a site supervisor, but more often than not, there's only one of you. There's not many people who are in a lucky situation where it belongs to the whole school. So sometimes it's a way of trying to get everybody involved, and how you do that and how you speak to each person, and make it relevant to them, rather than just literally leaving it on one person's shoulder. This is a very big ask for any one person, and to know all aspects of school is very, very difficult. So we always talk about collaboration. So if we just go through some of the ideas that we can get. If I'm going to just swap my screen for a second, and I'm going to share my other screen. So I've just literally, we've picked out the Let's Go Zero template here. As an example, these templates are available online, and I can send these to anybody who's around. And we're going to pick one of the main objectives. We're going to leave energy and decarbonisation alone for now, because I think you're well underway with that, if that's all right. Can you see the energy and decarbonisation is quite a big one? It's got lots of different things. I hope we help with our visits with energy and behaviour change. Obviously, we'll have kickstarted something to do with your buildings, how you then go on to use those savings, like they have at Bellfield, basically reinvesting, if you will, the savings they've got from the solar. Lynn, would you say that's probably what you've been doing over the years?
So just for an example, our invoice, which was from the 23rd of April 25 to the 22nd of June 2025. So just a quick one. I'm just going to be really brief with this.
No, it's fine. It's brilliant. Thank you.
So we literally would have, for that period, it would have been over £4,414. We actually generated 2,000. So we actually generated enough to save £2,331 that in that period. So our so only our solar energy costs were £2,082. So that's just a quick example of what we saved on that period. So yes, it will go back into our budget, and then we can make decisions about whether we use it to move forward, which we have got different plans in different areas for the sustainability, or it will go into supporting us with other things. Obviously, our budget's tight. So we do plan what we do with those savings.
Absolutely. And so yes, so sustainability isn't the only answer, is there? Like, what else could you have done with, like, pay towards a person, a TA perhaps?
It could be. So we have other plans in school. It can support staffing.
Well, one of the things we have used it towards over the two schools is our assistant site manager. We're lucky to have two people. Was really interested in forest schools rather than us paying for somebody to come in. So he's finishing his training next week, and he's been starting to do forest school work across both schools. And that meant that he's doing work in the forest school area and down at the field to help with that sustainability. So we can reinvest that into him doing more work than he is doing. So he's 30 hours a week. So he's doing another 5 or 6 hours a week doing forest school work and outdoor learning with the children, giving us more options with the children in education about it all as well.
Yeah, so you've done a double saving there, because you've taken the savings and then you've reinvested in your own member of staff. And you see, this is the other thing as well, the community. The more people you're employing locally and the more hours you're able to give to local people, the better it is again. So this is I'd say that was a triple whammy there. And then obviously the children long term will benefit from that, because we all know, anyone who's had experience of forest schools, it is quite an amazing scheme, and something you should all try and think about if you can do that. Now, great idea there. I just want to touch on procurement very quickly, Lynn, while you're there. This is obviously, for a member of staff, is quite difficult. What is there any advice you can do with that, or any tips you can do, or is it something really the business manager will be the only person who has to do with this? And typically, say for example, in a primary school, I
have heard about this, and predominantly business managers are looking into it. However, you know what you said about collaboration before. You cannot do a project like this without collaboration. You can have all the ideas that you can put a plan together. I've heard of many people putting plans together, but whether they'll actually action any of the actions they've put together, because they possibly can, a lot of them are hitting barriers. So you do need to get leadership on board.
I mean, basically, the three of us that are leading this are Sean, Lynn and myself, but all staff are aware of it, as are the governors. It's reported in the head teacher report, and we talk about it. And it is having these kind of links. So with yourselves, where you're telling us about the nature park, grants that could be available, it's looking, talking to other schools, looking what's happening in the areas and seeing what you can do for very little money. So procurement is really interesting, and people have different ideas. And we're lucky we've got Northfield Community Partnership not too far away. They have links and arms into all different kinds of things. So it's good to go to them and say, we're looking at doing this. Have you got some ideas, or can you give us pointers in the right direction? So it has to be, a whole school thing, because eventually you'll want to do the education around this. So staff need to be aware of what's going on. That's our next step, it's education. But to do the procurement and what you need, if for example, we've got pollution sensors in our school. So again, there's an app that reads that. It shows you what all the pollution is in various parts of the United Kingdom and across Europe. So you can do comparisons. You can talk about why the air in your area might not be very good that day, or why it is very good. So there are a number of things you can do. We haven't actually spent a lot of money on this. A lot of the resources that we're making in our Opal playground are from people donating things like pallets, so we can make things out of pallets. Rather than spending £3,000 on somebody building a den for us, we're making it for 50 quid. So it's all those kind of things that you can think of.
Sorry, so if we take the pollution sensors, and I've just whipped down there while you were talking, to the bottom part, which if you can just see, this is the climate education, which obviously most of us, this would be our first focus because it's curriculum based, and what we can do. So if we look at the pollution sensors, now some people would receive pollution sensors or be offered them and think, what am I going to do with those? Nigel, can you see that on the screen there? So Nigel, just tell us what is it, first of all, you had to pay for these?
No, we didn't have to pay for it. It's I can't remember who it's from. We can send the details out for that. But there is a free offer to have these pollution monitors in schools and around the UK for free. And then the app and everything is free as well. And you can see there, that is the map where you can see all the different colours. If it's green, it's good enough to go out to. If it's orange or red, then it can be quite bad. The numbers are supposed to be under 100. So you can see there at the moment around our school, because we are lucky enough to be just outside Birmingham and on top of a hill. So it's quite good, but you only have to go not too far away.
We are on one of the busiest roads.
So obviously you can see there, so this is around Northampton, how orange and red Northampton is, and you can click on each of those and read all the different meter readings. So you can really look at why, it's a really good geography one to do, because you can be looking at why would it be better here than that place there. So just down the road in Birmingham, there's a red down the road in Birmingham, really good discussion with children in geography about why. So it's a really good link to that as well.
Yeah. Would you say which year group would you do that with, Nigel?
You can do that across Key Stage 2 easily.
Yeah. And so this, again, things like this, once it's relevant for the children, if you actually find, so pollution sensors, how do you get that relevance into the curriculum? Straight away, if you can bring this into place-based learning, where they live, what's relevant, what they can see. And obviously these are the things that start conversations at home as well. And then maybe, some of the decisions parents make or the long-term decisions the children make can come from that. So and thinking, like you said, you're on the top of the hill there. So Nigel, what's the access like to the school then? Do you get children walking? How were they dropped off? What's the...
We've got the usual thing around primary schools. We've got parents that will walk, knowing that it's absolute bedlam on the 3 roads that lead into our different gates. And you do get absolutely mental parking and stupidity around parking. There's a thing just come through from Birmingham where they're looking at safer schools, so putting some more restrictions in and around schools, which we need, because one of our entrances, for example, have no markings on it whatsoever, so people block there and block drives and different things. So there are way too many cars around in that area at that time. And we're literally just next to a main road. We're on the A38, so it is a very busy main road into and out of Birmingham, a long bridge.
Yeah. So things like this, we could, I think I'm sure like with your student council or your student parliament, they could discuss these kind of things within and perhaps contact the council and ask them for these markings. And would you, what would your approach be, Nigel, with this normally? Would you go through your student council or would you go straight to the staff?
Well, no, actually, what we would probably do, because we have a weird thing called a mystery theme day. And a mystery theme day in our school is where we have a whole day where the children are setting the learning based on a project they've been given, which is a mystery to everybody until they open the envelope at 9 o'clock. We don't even tell the teachers because teachers plan, and the idea is the children do it. So this would be one of those kind of things. We were talking about this with my deputy as well this morning. One of our mystery theme days could be looking at the pollution during the first part of the morning. Then the rest of the day is how are we going to get action on this? Who do we need to write to? And they could decide how and when they do that. So we leave it quite loosely based. But that's a really good way of doing it. We have done a couple of things in the past where we did one 2 years ago where we asked them to think of a global problem and then invent something and sell it to the SLT. Their knowledge of the global problems and the ideas they came up with was amazing. And they had all day to do it. They only have like 5 hours to do it. But the stuff they come up with is really interesting. So there are clever ways to do this without it being too onerous. And when you've got like an 8-week half term, like last half term, taking a Friday out of it to do something like this really relaxes children on a really busy term as well. So you've got kind of a double win on it, really.
What kind of attendance do you have on those days, Nigel?
Oh, we've done mystery theme days now for about 8 years, and we can guarantee 100% attendance unless somebody's genuinely ill. The kids love mystery theme days, but they're still learning, but they're just doing it in a completely different way, and it gives lots of learners different opportunities to shine.
Absolutely. So, I could, just this one point alone with this pollution sensors, can you see how we've developed from just one small idea into this embedding literally throughout the school, not only at Key Stage 2, where I said it could fit in the curriculum nicely, but bringing the younger children involved in this without any planning for the teachers as well. This is quite radical in a way in the modern day of everything being planned within an inch, but actually thinking about teaching as a whole, this is where it belongs, isn't it? With the children's ideas and those opportunities. So Nigel, I hope you've sparked some interest there with our people who are listening to this and people listening to this afterwards, because it's certainly something that's inspired me there. We're just over our time of what we said for everyone to get back to school, but hopefully if you can just see, things don't have to be onerous. It fits perfectly within the curriculum. The suggestions have come from the team. That is the way we need to do these things. And like we said, Nigel said he'll share some things with you should you need. I can send some things around later if anyone else. I'm just going to go back very quickly just to the PowerPoint, and I just want to finish with one small thing, and then we'll just raise it to questions if anybody's got any questions, because I do feel sometimes sharing these kind of ideas is really important. Obviously, I just popped that bit there was our portal. If you're not familiar with it, do get on that. You've got all this kind of information. The children could even look at the weather with the pollution. They could monitor the weather and see if the pollution follows with the generation, because you've got the weather monitoring of the sunshine on the app. So again, that can be built into your solar if you wanted to. And I think you've heard this message loud and clear from Nigel and Lynn. Connect with your whole team, site supervisors, catering, transport and community connections. I'd like to add to that governors as well. If you've got a governor who's keen, they offer a wealth of experience. And also if you've got a PTA, if you're lucky enough to have a PTA, PTAs often can open funding avenues that schools can't go to. So if you've not got one, do think about having a PTA. And if you're lucky enough to have a PTA with any environmental links, there is lots of opportunities for them to get questions. So the idea is not to have this stuck in a cupboard. This is something that is livable and actionable. It doesn't matter how much you do. If Nigel was to take that one action there, that would lead to so many different outcomes rather than that just a little bit we've popped in curriculum there. I think we could write an entire action plan actually around that one idea. So please do not think this is onerous. Take something that's valuable for your school and make sure that you ask your team for further help and support. So catering, parents, everybody can be part of this, and the children have some amazing ideas. So as most of you on here will either be stuck with the role or have taken the role, I just wanted to add that what makes a sustainability leader? Someone who inspires and supports action towards a better world. Nigel, Lynn, I feel like you've inspired me for some ideas, and hopefully the rest of the team that are on here today, and obviously I know your school does. We will be sharing some more. We'll be doing a little blog on Nigel's school, and you can see that on our website. And if you've got any ideas from your school, please do contact us. Our emails are here, and thanks everybody.